So, Sophia, if you want to look at it from a Gnostic point of view, is the same thing as Ymir Fritz from Attack on Titan. And in Attack on Titan, they said there's this light in all Eldians that connect them back with the source. The source was Ymir, the founding Titan. So it's the same thing in Gnosticism. They're the beings with sparks of light and divinity within them that all connect back to a source. Now, this source can be looked at as the black hole or null or the void to connect it back to Marvel. So each Venom, you take Venom, each, I forgot what their race was called, symbiotes or something like that. But each one of those connect back to the total source of that black gooey substance, which could be looked at as Akasha. So Akasha connects all melanated beings in this realm back to the source. So you have a race of people that are called devils and are used as batteries on this planet with this type of skin. And don't be fooled by this type of skin, because everyone with this type of skin does not have that spark of light. That's the trick. The trick is that you believe everyone with the same skin folk is your kinfolk, and that is not true. Everyone does not have the same spark of light, but they can have this melanin or dark skin. So blacks are Eldians, and the true original people are Titans. Blacks are Eldians and the true original people, and are also called Titans. But you have another group of people or beings and entities called gods, and those will form up the Orishas, and those are also called archons. And these archons rule over this planet along with the demiurge. And these demiurges are nothing but your human urges and your human thoughts, which keep you human. Your elevated higher self gives you God thoughts and would elevate you into your cosmic self and your higher self. So these archons and these different beings, orishas, that these cults worship, desire to keep the majority of the masses here in order to siphon and feed off of them, because that's how this realm works. Things need to be fed off of, and things need energy. If you ever watched a show called The Promised Neverland, it's the same premise. The unsuspecting children were on a farm, and they were being farmed for these demons. Without their knowledge, they were being harvested and farmed to be eaten by demons. The demons made a pact with the earlier humans in order to have a farm to where the demons can just get farmed. The children, and the essence of the children, they could eat off of that. But then you have a sector of demons that were so-called like vegetarians, where they didn't feed off the children. They made a vow not to. And that goes back to the same thing. So archons are like hierarchy vampires. And shout out to Panic, he says fucking those hierarchy vampires or archon are like the above, and the below is a prototype archetype of the white man, or the Caucasian man. It's the archetype of the Caucasian man. They have no source within them, so by nature they have to vampire and siphon off of beings with original sparks in them. So they have to keep them trapped down here in order to keep siphoning off of them until they find a way, Elon Musk and these guys, to live and put their consciousness into a different reality. And they want to get into these virtual realities, or they want to go to Mars or whatever, because they know that they have no eternal home. So they're trying to create one, and they're trying to keep you here as long as possible until they figure out how to create that oasis for themselves, or create some type of cosmic home for themselves. So this is why Zeke Yeager, aka the Christ figure of Attack on Titan, decided that the best way was to go about the euthanization plan, where all the Eldians will live out the rest of their life, but they will no longer be able to have children. See, children is the original sin. That's the apple, the bringing of that divine light and divine spark, bringing of those angels, the falling angels, the angels of light, bringing those into the physical body to where they're trapped into the 5 senses or the 7 chakras, the 7-band spectrum of light. But you can get to ultraviolet and beyond the 7-band spectrum without the physical body and the physical vessel and the physical plane. So so that was the original goal, to free his people from the bondage of Earth. But there are groups and cults and covens that made pacts to where these entities, they work for these entities in order to keep the masses deaf, dumb, and blind, in order to keep feeding off of them. It's just like a cow or a chicken, a cattle, just farming these beings. So humans farm cows and cattle in order to feed off of them, but the cows and cattle are usually made to be docile, and they're so unaware, because they're animals, that they don't unaware that they're headed for the slaughterhouse. So same thing with humans. There's a higher entities that farm humans in order to feed off of them the same way, where you're headed to the slaughterhouse until you wake up, Neo. So it was never a direct attack at Ifa, and if it was, I don't give a fuck them, because they're actually some good-hearted people who are in these cults, and they just simply are looking and searching for something to connect to or resonate with, or some type of community to bond with as a human, And these people who have knowledge of these spiritual systems, these higher people in these cults, it allows them to be able to have a superiority complex. And like, I even heard, like, there's some high priests or babalaos, you can't even touch them. You can't even look at them. How egotistical has these societies and groups become, to the point where there's such a hierarchy in them? It's idiotic. Of course there's hierarchy and rankings in the spirit, but the way it is used in these groups, a lot of times it becomes tainted by the corruption of humanity and the ego. Even some of the gurus in India, like, eventually you find out that 18 of the women in the group are sucking the Swami's dick, sucking the guru's dick. You find out that people have to pay all these fees and go through all these initiations. So once again, these groups and secret societies click up, and they want the 5% who are in the know to be with them and a part of their group. So when you have someone who's not in their groups, they become a threat, because then people will start to realize that they can work with all of these spiritual systems on their own without having to go through any initiation, without having to get pumped in the booty, without having to do sexual favors or pay crazy amounts of monthly fees just to be a part of something, and cult could simply be short for culture. So a lot of different things in the world are cults. It's a very common thing. That's the base level of survival nature of society, is to group up. So that's how humans survive. If you take the prison system, for example, that's the base level or survival mode. So you'll see that every group clicks up usually, and then you may have your lone wolves here and there that decide to do their own thing, because when you get a part of these groups and these cults, you kind of lose autonomy of self, and you have to go along with the mind of the collective consciousness of the entity that is ruling over that group or cult. The entity is nothing but a thought form, so it's a collective form of thought patterns. So someone may meet me and resonate with me and how I feel in a heart chakra space area, but they get around the group and now they can associate with me because I'm not a part of the group, and I may say certain things that don't align with the group. So then you have the lone wolves who become too Christian for the Muslims, or too Muslim for the Christians, or too rogue for the docile people, or too docile for the rogues. You have those anomalies that can't really fit fully into any society or group because they're not conforming all the way to that group or system. They still want freedom in their sense of self to have their own mind and think and view life the way that they want to view it. So certain people can't resonate with certain cult groups, and that's perfectly fine. Be yourself. Be the anomaly. Study the Bible. Study the Quran. Study the Buddhist teachings. Study the Mormon teachings. Study what the Masonic teachings teach. Study everything, and it's free. This is the beauty of being incarnated in this period of time, is you have the free will and the resources and the internet of this age of information to be able to study on your own and get all these resources. You could get all the books that used to be banned, all the books that these societies use. You could get all of those for yourself, and you don't have to be initiated, don't have to pay fees, and you don't have to do anything that will go against your character.